Electric Fire Chapter 13, Catching Breath.
Sonic hadn't picked up on the ghostly words. Perhaps it was my imagination. I wasn't one to go against her word though. If my destiny was to protect this other hedgehog from Gun, or even the mad scientist he sometimes talks about, I won't hesitate. Rouge, Omega, and Tails are safe for now at Carl's. Only me and Sonic were in the danger zone. All because of Rouge allowing me to break free from isolation. I got off of the bed and went to where I left my list and the pencil Sonic let me borrow. I now noticed the teeth marks on one end of it, but I got nothing of it, as I marked off Relax and a few of the flowers, plus Avenge Maria. Sonic watched me, then got an idea.
Hey, wanna sit on the roof for a bit again?
I looked back at him. He just smiled a bit as if he wanted to show me something. I didn't say anything, only gave him a nod, then a questioning look. He was about to run around the room to get enough distance before jumping up through the window. But I wasn't having it. Teleporting was easier for me. We were on the roof within a flash. Sonic got a little dizzy since he wasn't used to it. He sat down. I sat beside him. Now I knew why we were up there. It was sunset already. It was relaxing. We stayed up there for about an hour. Stars started to appear. It wasn't hard to pick out the Space Colony arc out from the other stars. It was one of the brighter ones, since it was close to the gravitational pull, but it isn't orbiting around. It looked like it was still functioning despite no one living there. All these years it's been there. I wondered if anyone was using it, since if no one was there, it could crash into the Earth at some point. A noise below us caught my attention. Maddie was in the room, calling for Sonic. He got down with ease. He went back down through the window. I followed behind. Maddie just wanted to let us know that dinner was ready. Sonic dashed down the stairs. I sighed and shook my head a bit. I know he was only a kid. I followed, except I didn't run. I was too used to the rules back home. Maddie was a bit astonished that I didn't run down like Sonic had. I took my time, but I did speed up a little after getting off the stairs. Sonic was already at the table. He sat beside Tom. Maddie was close behind me. I ended up sitting by Maddie. A coffee mug sat in front of me. I noticed Sonic had one too, along with Tom and Maddie. It looked like it had milk, but something was floating at the top. I sniffed the drink a bit. Never smelled anything like it. It was a strange smell, something sweet. It was like tea, but with a milky smell. Maddie watched me for a bit. I felt her gaze on me.
I made that. Don't worry, it's safe. Sonic had it a few times. It's called a hot ponyo made from honeycomb sugar, cinnamon, milk, and water. I only used a little bit of sugar, not too much.
I heard milk wasn't good for normal hedgehogs to drink, but I guess if Sonic could have it, maybe it wasn't going to have a bad effect on me. The beverage was still pretty hot. I took one sip and well, I really liked it. I don't think I ever felt so calm. There was a bowl of seafood fettuccine in front of us. I couldn't remember if I'd eaten it before. I know my creator mostly fed me meat like steak and chicken and other stuff, but nothing seafood related. I could feel my tail wag as I twirled some noodles around onto the end of the fork, before taking a stab of a piece of shrimp in the bowl. Again, I ended up enjoying the flavor the meal had to offer. I could feel my tail wag a bit faster. Everyone else enjoyed the meal as well. Sonic looked happy too. We soon finished the meal. Me and Sonic cleaned up after ourselves, along with thanking Tom and Maddie for the wonderful meal. Me and Sonic went back to his room to relax. We were both full and satisfied. Sonic sat in his beanbag chair. I just sat on the floor near him. We both stayed silent, unsure on what to talk about. My mind started to wander a bit though, as we both sat in silence. I could hear Tom and Maddie laughing a bit downstairs. Seemed they were both happy with each other. I started to wonder if I was ready to stay with a new family. I can now see why Sonic chose to stay with them. They seemed to have accepted me for now. I only hoped I wasn't intruding. My mission is to protect these three along with my team and Tails. A tap on my shoulder brought me back to reality. Sonic's hand was over me. I looked back at him.
You okay, Shadow? You seem a little sad.
I only nodded before answering him. Yeah, I guess I was just lost in thought. The food was really good, same for the drink. Sonic smiled brightly.
Yeah, it was good. I could tell you liked it. Maddie's a good cook, so is Tom. Yeah, the hot ponyo is good too. It actually sounds really easy to make too. Maddie usually boils the water first, then adds the honey and cinnamon. I've watched her make it a couple times. She has the milk last. She'll sometimes add a bit of sugar just to sweeten it a little.
Then the sound of a helicopter was heard overhead. Me and Sonic scooted back a bit so we weren't under the window. A large searchlight came down. Its yellow glow illuminated the room. The light slowly crept upon us. Sonic curled up in a ball. His eyes were still seeing though. I decided to do the same. We both watched the light fade as the helicopter moved overhead. Soon the room was in darkness aside from the lights lining up the room. Stringed lights lined up most of the wall. It was enough to see the room, but they weren't all that bright. Sonic uncurled as we heard the chopper sounds in the far distance. I stayed as a ball a little longer. Once I knew that the helicopter wasn't turning back.
I guess those guys are back to looking for us. You sure we can lay low for a while? I mean, yeah, I don't want to go to another planet, but also can't be done either. They got high-powered weapons. Sure, I beat some killer drones and some robots, plus sent a madman to another planet.
I sighed a bit before getting up. I know. Look, I said I'd come up with a plan and we aren't using those rings. We can figure out another way. I just need more time. I guess killing is not an option. Same for injuring others since that wouldn't help the situation by much. But I might have to if they try and do harm to either of us. Sonic just stared at me for a bit, but then he nodded. I could tell he was against me killing someone or even injuring someone as well. Staying low was going to be a difficult task.
Actually, maybe we can prove that you aren't a bad guy. I mean, they always thought you were, right?
I wasn't sure where Sonic was going with this. Yeah, well, they raided the Ark in order to stop my project, but they found out it was too late, and well, Maria saved him from being destroyed. Well, physically. I'm still unstable inside, after losing her and Gerald. But yeah, it's true, Gunn has always had something against me. I want answers as to why, but I don't want to go back there right now. I know Rouge did a little bit of spy work, she told me, but I don't want to send her there either, not until things calm down at least a little. Our conversation was interrupted by the sound of footsteps coming up the stairs. It was only Tom.
Maddie's putting on a movie downstairs and you two want to come down and join us, you're welcome to.
Sonic didn't hesitate. He just ran down the stairs past Tom. I decided to join them. I shook my head a bit after Sonic sped down the steps. I again took my time. I guess a movie could help give me an idea on how to get out of our current situation with Gunn. Sonic sat on the couch beside Maddie, watching her scroll through movies through an app on the TV. Most of them were free. I took a seat near Halsey, who was asleep on the floor. He didn't wake though when I approached. He was snoring a bit, so it seemed he was in a deep sleep. Tom took the spot by Sonic. Me and Sonic ended up falling asleep halfway through the movie. Sonic was the first to sleep before me, curled up on the floor watching a war movie. I think it's my favorite genre. It's darker than the Disney movies I watched with Maria, though The Hunchback of Notre Dame was dark for a kid's movie. Sonic ended up falling asleep leaning against Tom. Tom had to comfort Sonic throughout the movie by petting him and gently rubbing his ears. I was fine though while watching the movie. It didn't exactly frighten me much. Sure, I liked action movies too, but horror just gave me a thrill like I actually wanted to be afraid for someone else, or I want to get the fright from a jump scare. I was fighting sleep throughout most of the movie, but soon I found it hard to stay awake. Part of me wanted to know how it ended, but it turned into nothing but a whisper as sleep took over. When I woke up, I was in Sonic's bed, a blanket laid over me and him. He was still asleep. Tom must have put us to bed after the movie had finished. Sonic didn't move. It was dead silent between us. I grew a bit worried about him, but then his ears gave a slight twitch. I didn't dare to get up. I didn't want to wake him, so I just laid there for a while, letting my mind wander a bit, thinking of a plan to free us both from getting caught by Gun, and to also keep Sonic from using the remaining rings he had left. They were the only possessions he held onto after Longclaw sent him to this world. I'm sure she would be proud of him for finding a place to settle, instead of leaving whenever something went wrong, as in someone finding out about him. It's now my fault that someone else came after him. Maybe things would have been best if I wasn't created at all. I've caused a lot of damage without even meaning to. Sonic already tried to save me though. We didn't exactly know one another much. He seemed like a good kid, despite what he's been through. It must have been really hard on him after his caretaker sent him here. I can only imagine the loneliness, the nightmares he must have had, and also the fear of always being alone. If he did have to leave, if he was found out by any other than the Mad Doctor, I wasn't sure if I could call this planet my home. Despite all the talk in the past, Tom and Maddie, along with Coral, were the only humans who seemed welcoming. I'm actually starting to feel as though I've found a new family. Movement shook me out of my thoughts. Sonic was starting to wake up. He sat on the edge of the bed and then stretched. He later went to Coral's by himself. I decided to stay at the house. Just me and Ozzy. Maddie had to go to work, same for Tom. I made cereal and milk for breakfast for me and Sonic. I would have went with Sonic, but I decided to stay in case Gun showed up. If they did, I'd use my teleportation technique and go to Carl's to warn the Blue Hedgehog to not go home. I grabbed his rings first, knowing they'd search the house for us.